We're back.
We're back with another book review.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, it's Fire Falling, which is book 2.
The second of the Air Awakens cycle, quintilogy.
I don't know, there's 5 of them, so...
I think it's Quinn.
Quinn? I don't know. I speak English.
It's English. It's
Is
just
it?
English. Yeah, it's English likes to mug other languages and jostle around in their pockets for loose grammar.
Isn't that like... I don't know.
It's Latinate.
Okay, well, I apparently don't speak English either. But yes, it's book 2 of Elise Kova's fantastic series.
Mm-hmm.
And it picks off, like, directly after
Like,
Air
immediately
Awakens.
after.
Yeah, which is really cool because, you know, I don't know, like, going into it,
Mm-hmm.
well, I guess we'll have to kind of explain the end to Air Awakens. So if you haven't read it, and you...
Spoilers are ahead.
Spoilers are ahead.
You have been warned.
So, if you don't want to be spoiled for Air Awakens, back away now, but come back later, after you read it. So, Air Awakens ends with Val Jarl, the main character, being put onto trial for
sorcery and magic and general reasons of we don't like you.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like, yeah, you happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and...
You saved our crown prince's life, how dare you?
How dare you, but in the process you might have destroyed some buildings and maybe killed some people that were already dead. So we're going to put you on trial.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of killing her, executing her for her crimes...
she didn't commit.
That she didn't commit. She is basically enlisted into the war with the North.
Yeah.
And,
the Emperor is like, hey, you win the war, once the war's done, you're free to go. But service to the crown, and we're putting you in the care of the Fire Lord, the scary Prince Aldrich.
Yes.
And she's like, my love! And
Who? Yes.
Yeah.
So she's basically being shipped off to war.
Yeah.
Which is...
Scary because she's a library apprentice and has no training.
No.
Has no idea what she can or cannot do. Acted on instinct on the night of wind and fire.
Doesn't even remember how or what happened.
Nope.
So it's just like, you're basically sending a, 17-year-old kid to...
I think she's 17 or 18 years
I think
old,
at that point she's 17. But yeah, so she's being shipped off and she has no idea what to do.
She said people gonna die?
Yeah, people are gonna die because
Lots
it's a war. And I don't think she really... she knows it's a bad situation, but I don't think at the point where she's leaving, she really realizes the gravity of what's gonna happen.
Well, she's... One of the more interesting things about how these characters are written, and specifically Vala, is she's incredibly book smart.
Yes.
Grew up in a library. She was a librarian's apprentice, and knows her shit.
She reads a lot when she's supposed to be working.
So she's hyper intelligent and very, very knowledgeable, but very little in the way of practical experience. And this book, and especially the next one, are about her coming to terms with understanding what her theory looks like in practice. Yeah. And she's awesome, and you just really like her. So, and Laurel.
I love her.
Poor Laurel.
Laurel's amazing. Laurel essentially takes the place of her former best friends from the library, and she kind of has this dependence on Laurel. She is so traumatized by the experiences in Air Awakens because we can spoil it now. Hey, she basically sends her best friends to die.
Well, she doesn't mean to.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
There's Sareem, who she loves, but as a friend, and Sareem loves her and is still sort of working through what his feelings are for her specifically. And so he's like, no, I kind of want to date you, and maybe not, and I don't really understand, but let's give this a go. And she's like, I'm a sorcerer, and he's like, whoa, gonna back off. You're not really a sorcerer. Really? No, you're just... Oh...
But Vala,
I need...
Have you tried not being
a sorcerer? Yeah, very much that. But he does come around, and he's like, okay, well, you're a sorcerer, but you can get your magic rid of, right? You can close that stuff down, right? And she's like, I don't think I want to.
Yeah. But you know, he's still willing to give it a try. Yeah. It's just like, I am in love with you.
He does, really. Like, he loves her, and he's willing to challenge his own worldview because of it. And that's an interesting character.
It is,
But there's another girl who works as a librarian apprentice, and I'm blanking on her name.
Also a really good friend of Bella. It's Rowan.
Rowan. And Rowan loves Serene.
Yeah, like, she's in love with him, and she wants to be with him, and she knows that he is in love with Vala.
So Vala thinks she's doing them both a good thing when she sends them to the carnival and tells them to meet up, and it's like, you guys are going to be great for each other. And she had no way of knowing
that, unfortunately, assassins from the north come to the festival and basically set the town on fire. And there's huge explosions while Vala is off at the big ball with Aldrich.
And Balder.
And Balder. Because
Balder's the one that invites her.
Yeah.
And
playing his little games.
Yeah. Well, it's not... It's... Again, it's one of the reasons I really, really like these books, is it's not a game. Balder thinks he's doing what's right, in that he's trying to protect her from Aldrich, while trying to figure out what the connection is between the two of them. Because Balder very clearly loves his brother, but isn't quite sure who his brother is anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the tie between the two of them. He knows something really, really bad happened at something that changed Aldrich. And he doesn't know exactly how bad that damage is, or what it looks like.
Just that Baldric one day was just like, I don't want anything to do with you no more. And he's just like, but brother, why?
And we find out that that's actually been a constant in Aldrich's life. Because Laurel, we find out, was actually like Aldrich's best friend.
Yeah.
Like literally his best friend. He rescued her from a mine. And the two of them were inseparable, and then they weren't.
Yeah. He pushed her away with no explanation, and she still loved him. So like everything that he, asked her of her, she would do, because he was the one that saved her, and he is her best friend, even though he pushed her away. So
because some debts can't be repaid, and some emotional connections never go away.
Yeah, that's true. But yes, so Vala accidentally puts her friends into the position where they are basically at the center of where the North attacks. And she sees the explosion from the palace and
panics. She jumps out of the palace.
She's just like, I gotta save my friends. She's in this like long, beautiful dress, and just like, screw it.
No.
Rip off the skirt, just go running.
She doesn't think it through. It's just, oh God, I need to help my friends.
Yeah. Which is, again, like, it's a really important part of her character, is that she is so loyal to those that she loves.
And she's driven.
Yeah.
Completely driven. She doesn't really care about herself at all.
She does have a selfish side to her.
Oh, she definitely does have a selfishness side, but her self-preservation is not there at all.
If it comes to saving her or her friends, then she would hands down be like, okay, kill me like 1,000 times, just spare my friends. Yeah.
So Aldrich runs after her, but there's some assassins. They try to target him, and she freaks out, levels some buildings, but in the process saves the crown prince and kills them.
Yeah.
And then is put on trial for it, because people are scared.
Yeah. She also manages to find her friends. Serene is dead. Like, no question whatsoever. She sees, like, half his face crushed.
Yeah.
And,
Rowan is not happy.
Rowan is she's injured, not waking up, but she doesn't know
the extent.
Yeah. So, basically, because of these events, seeing her friends die.
And then Aldrich nearly dies.
She's thrown on trial and shipped off to war. Yeah.
The Emperor goes, we won't kill you, and we'll let you free once the war is done. Service to the crown, we're calling it, you're the first Windwalker in 150 years, and we want that.
We own you now. So, naturally, after all of that, she needs someone at her side, and that person is Laurel. And she's constantly plagued with nightmares. She sees Sareem in her dreams dead, and she blames herself for it because she was the one that said, meet here, and then she went off to the ball to have fun while her friends were waiting for her. So she blames herself for that, and she basically latches onto Laurel, and she's the only thing that's keeping Vala from, like, going completely insane.
Yeah.
And that dependence, you know, like, she sleeps next to Laurel every night, and she only calms down if Laurel's, like, hugging her or something, just so she knows that there's someone there with her. And it's really touching. It's
again, these books are like a how-to guide on how to deal with somebody who's suffering from PTSD.
Yeah.
They're really, really good on that front. But I think the strongest draw here really is the emotional content.
Yeah, for sure.
But this book balances it out with a lot more information and a lot more activity. We get a lot more marching, which is honestly what soldiers do. It's more marching than fighting.
Which I found really interesting too, because at the end of Air Awakens, I just kind of naturally assumed that Fire Falling would be them, you know, like maybe a couple chapters marching and then being like right at the north, like right in the front. And, you know, if someone had told me, like, this book is entirely just the march to the north, I would have been like, really? Like, how is that entertaining?
But it is.
But it's so good. It's like, it's probably one of the stronger books in the series, in my opinion, just because, like, there's so much character development, there's so much world growth, and there's lots of action to it as well. So
much action. And a lot of movement and a lot more information. Like, we learn what the elements can actually do.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out exactly what an airwalker can do, because there hasn't been one. Windwalker, wow.
It's okay.
I'm bad.
It's fine.
What a windwalker can do, because there hasn't been one in 150 years. So there's really nothing on record. They've got, like, rumors and hearsay, and they're trying to figure out what happens. We also get to see the difference between a sorcerer and a common soldier.
Yeah.
Even like a top-line common soldier, and see how a swordsman can compete. Like, why do you even have an army when you've got sorcerers?
Yeah.
And Daniel is great.
Oh, yeah. Two characters that we meet at the end of Air Awakens, Daniel and Craig, who, I don't know, like, I wonder, was it named after Daniel Craig, James Bond?
It
or was
could possibly.
Okay.
Possibly.
But
I don't know.
They are two golden guards, which are Baldair's personal bodyguards, essentially. They're supposed to be, like, the best and the strongest of the kingdom.
It's the black guard, the gold guard.
The black... Was it the black guard?
Yeah, the black guard, I think, are...
I know Aldrich has his own personal guard, but I can't remember what they're called. It's black something, but I don't remember what.
I think it's the black guard.
Is it the black guard? Okay. Anyways, not super important. Okay. But, so Daniel and Craig, we get a lot more developments, particularly with Daniel, because Daniel is also from the East, so he has, like, a connection to Vala.
Yeah.
Because that's where she was born, and until she was, I think, 11, she lived with her father. Her mother died of the, I can't remember what it was called, but it's a fever that essentially has no cure.
But we learn a lot more about the East and Eastern culture. We, by inference, learn a lot more about the West and Western culture. One of the nobles of the West, because it was the Westerners that went and wiped out all the airwalkers. So the reason there haven't been any windwalkers.
Windwalkers, yeah.
Yeah. Be over here. So the West went and wiped out all the windwalkers. So you've got Western nobility actually taking Vala, calling out Vala in public and saying, we're very sorry.
Yeah.
And we are officially making you a noble lady among us. And you're thinking, oh, okay, now she's a noble. That means that finally, like, maybe Aldrich can become, they can get married, and when this is all over and done, we might get a happy ending. And the Emperor dashes that at every step of the way.
Yeah, he's just like, you might be a lady in the West, but definitely not in the South.
Yeah.
So he completely disregards her you know, her
everything.
title.
Really.
Yeah.
He disregards her as a person.
Yeah.
He's like, I own you. You're property.
She is essentially just a weapon to him.
Yeah.
And he has no qualms whatsoever if she dies. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's kind of hoping she does.
Well, he wants her to die after the war is won.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even her own actions mean nothing to him.
Mm-hmm.
She saves his life.
She does.
A couple of times, and he's just like, you might be thinking that I should thank you for that, but that's your expected duty.
Yeah.
He's a winner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
I hate him.
He gets a lot worse, too.
I know.
But yeah, the Emperor is a character that you will hate.
A lot.
Yeah. Which is good, because, like, it adds a really good conflict to the story, and, you know, it slows down the progression that Aldrich and Vala can have, which is important, because
otherwise they'd be all over each other.
Well, yeah. And also, like, if they... if Elise Kova ignored, you know, the positions, the level, the status that they have, then it wouldn't be as interesting as a story.
One of the most interesting things I ever heard is every story needs a villain. And the villain doesn't have to be a person, but the villain does have to exist, because without hardship, there's no story.
Yeah.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs without the evil queen is princess got lost out in the woods one day, came across 7 dwarves, bumped into a prince, and lived happily ever after.
Which, it could be an interesting story still, though.
Yeah, except that, you know, I'd even have to go back and say she didn't get lost.
No,
she met 7 dwarves,
and
then a prince, and then that's the end of the tale.
Yeah.
Like, it's dull.
Yeah, you need to have the conflict, and the Emperor is very much conflicting.
Oh my god, he's great. And you've also got Laurel having to deal with Aldrich's cousin.
Alicia.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is a new character in Fire Falling. You don't really know who she is at first.
No, you don't find out until, I think, Earth.
Is it? No,
it's towards the end.
Out. Yeah, you find out in Fire Falling. Yeah. But, so this new soldier comes about, and she refers to Aldrich as Aldrich. And
the Emperor is like, you cannot refer to Aldrich by Aldrich.
No.
He is...
Oh, of course not.
By title. Who are you, commoner?
Yeah, no, there's no way Vala would ever be able to do that in public. But yeah, so Alicia comes into the story, and Vala is very confused, because she's like, who is this girl, and like, how is she so familiar with Aldrich by calling him like his first name? And of course she gets jealous. She's just like, that's my prince, man, like, back off. But
my initial thought was actually that they had like a royal engagement.
Yeah, I did think that as well, or that they had previously dated at one point, and because Aldrich has been with other women, that's no secret, he doesn't deny that.
Nope.
So yeah, I thought that she was an old flame of his, but it turns out they're cousins, so there was nothing to worry about. But yes, she's an interesting character. Like, I really hated her at first. I was mad. I'm just like, back off, bitch. Like, Vala belongs with Aldrich, not you. So
I wasn't angry at her, but I was curious. Like, I wanted to know what her deal was, because she definitely had a pre-existing tie with Aldrich.
Yeah.
So is this Vala like impinging on her territory? Where is this going? What's going to happen? And then it's like, oh, okay, this makes so much more sense. And I love. Even after Vala finds out, there's still that give-and-take rivalry, because on Alicia's side, it's, are you worthy of him?
Yes. Yeah.
I love my cousin. Are you worthy of him? Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
And on Vala's side, it's, I'm just going to stomp you into the ground.
Just like, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
Yes. She is a great character. By the end of the book, I was just like, I like her. She's fun. So that's
more
another...
complex.
Yeah, exactly. And then you also see the division between the two armies. You have the sorcerers who march with Aldrich, and then you have the the foot soldiers that march with Balder and the Emperor, and they don't like each other. Like
too much.
They're very separate.
There's a little bit of back and forth, but very little.
Well, is there?
Like it's weird when Vala starts marching with Daniel.
Yeah, Vala. Because
like, who are you and why are you marching with us?
Yeah, because Vala was upset because she didn't know who Alicia was. She's like, well, screw you guys. I'm gonna go ride with my other friend because I don't like being ignored by you. And so
people need to talk.
Yeah, so communication is key, people.
Yeah, in any relationship, which is something that doesn't happen often enough, both in these books and in real life.
Yeah, it's true.
So, talk with the people you love.
Misunderstandings happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Vala decides to march with Daniel, and that's when, things kind of start to change, because all of the foot soldiers are just like, why are you here? Go march with your other freaks. Like, we don't want you here.
Yeah. Well, it goes back and forth, because there's some people that really like Vala.
Yeah. And
the vast majority of them are like, we don't need your kind around here.
Yeah. And
we're from the south.
Well,
I couldn't resist. It was so easy. It was so easy.
Oh dear. Anyways, so Balder, being the awesome person he is, comes and it's just like, oh, like, I'm surprised to see you here. And Vala is just like, oh, well, like, maybe I should go. Because at that point, she's feeling like everyone's staring at her. And she kind of realizes, she's like, oh, like, maybe there's some sort of barrier here that I crossed that I wasn't supposed to.
I mean, again, it's that book learning as opposed to practical knowledge.
Yeah. So
yes, the two armies totally fight side by side. And we're on the
They're
same
BFFs,
team.
man.
No.
But yeah, so Balder is just like, no, like, stay, like, this is good.
No.
It
needs to happen.
Yeah, it needs to happen. So she rides with the foot soldiers and becomes friends with a lot of them. Starts training with Daniel, learning how to use a sword.
Yeah.
So, that was a really interesting mix that, like, I wouldn't have even really thought about it.
Yeah.
Like, I would have just assumed that the army marches together like Vala did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that conflict between, even just, like, the internal fighting between the Southern Army.
The first book, the idea was really Vala, the conflict was Vala coming to terms with her sorceress nature and what possibilities that gave her in life. This one is all about culture. So if the first book is sort of like the internal conflict of Vala against that every prejudice that she's learned, this one is other people coming to terms with the prejudices around her and Vala defining a place for herself within that.
Yeah, sure.
Whether the Emperor likes it or not.
Yeah. But yeah, so Fire Falling has some of the best scenes in it.
Freaking Vala fighting at the end.
Oh my god, it's so well written. Like, the way that she just at least describes a lot of the events, like, I have such a clear visual of it in my mind, that, like, it's just, it honestly just left me breathless in some scenes.
Yeah.
I don't really want to spoil anything because these scenes are so important and, like, they honestly just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. But there's also a lot of tragedy and sadness in this book.
Which there has to be.
Because it is a war.
Yeah.
And things happen in wars that leave people sad. Yes. No spoilers, but have some tissues ready.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good plan. It's a very good plan.
Yes, for sure. What else? I don't know. This book, like, not a lot happens in it again, but so much happens in it.
It's again one of those books where it's just the march. So there's a couple of attacks, but it's the emotional impact. Emotionally, a lot happens. Character-wise, a lot happens.
Oh, yeah.
But the book is all about the march, and it really gives you a sense of scale as far as how big this world actually is.
Yeah, because it takes them, like, at least a month to get to the north.
Well, it takes them, like, a month to get to the crossroads, never mind the north.
Yeah, and the crossroads is just, like, the midpoint, so...
And it actually drives forward exactly how powerful Vala is in the next book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The crossroads is awesome. It's basically the center of the continent where east meets west, north meets south, and everything. And there's just so many people there. It's basically like the big market, and you have like intermingling
cultures and stuff from all over the world. And Prince Aldrich has like his own room with a secret passage, and Vala ends up in there quite a lot. This is where their relationship really solidifies, because they both decide what it is that they want and start moving towards it, and we'll see that and where that goes in the next book. But it's the chaos of the crossroads and the brightness that allows them to sort of move forward before they start marching again. Yeah.
The crossroads is where they stop to kind of, rest, resupply. So they're there for quite a while. Yeah. And, they get some downtime to spend together secretly, because the Emperor would not approve.
Yeah, well, the Emperor thinks that that she's learning to astral project.
Yeah,
which she is
a power that Windwalkers have. So, yeah, they use that as an excuse to hang out, and I mean they do it, but
because it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? That's freaking awesome, man. Just strolling around, no one can see you.
Yeah. Just gotta leave your body behind.
Yeah, which is not so cool, but it's okay because Aldrich's protecting her. Yeah. Her body anyway. But
But her mind, nothing can protect that.
No.
That's really.
True.
Which is particularly from herself, because she's still struggling with the idea of I'm a commoner among nobles. And it's again, like, it's just fascinating to me how much complexity Elise has managed to seem very, very simple within these books. Yeah. Because it's not just like one layer of conflict or two layers of conflict. It's this it feels like life. Yeah. It feels like something that is alive. And
yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I keep on saying to people, like, why I like these books so much, is that the characters feel so real. Like, even if the situation is something that we can't relate to, we can still relate to the characters in these situations because their reactions are just so natural.
And the world they live in feels real.
It does.
Like, just the small details of it feel like something that people have lived in and grown up with.
Like, I've never been to, like, this... Well, I guess I have been to, like, markets and stuff, but, like, nothing to scale. I'm sure you have in your many adventures of your weird life.
weird life. But
yeah.
But it's very much like that. Yeah. Like, having been to those markets, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I haven't been to any personally, but I could still picture it in my head, like, so easily. Just because the world of these stories is so...
well developed.
Well, exactly. And another thing that I really like is that there's so much that is happening in the world that, like, we only catch, like, a brief glimpse through Vala's eyes. And you realize, like, this world is huge, and we're only getting, like, one fraction of, like, what's actually
sets up
happening,
another interesting dichotomy is Vala's incredible book learning having to deal with the reality that she comes across in her journey. So we get Vala's impression of what should be with what actually is. Yeah. And that makes for a very, very interesting conflict that gets rid of all exposition, because that's the framework that all the exposition for this world happens in. So it doesn't feel like exposition, it feels like more character building. Yeah. And it's outstanding.
It is.
It's a brilliant device.
Yeah. Very much so. But yes.
I like these books.
What would you rate Fire Falling out of 5?
4.5 heading towards 5.
Yeah.
Particularly with that cliffhanger.
Oh my god. Oh, yes. Guys, seriously, if you start reading this book, make sure you have...
The third one.
The third one, Earth's End.
Yeah.
Because you will need it right away.
Uh-huh.
Not kidding.
Yeah. It's like the end of the second season of Twin Peaks. Or the end of Changes from the Dresden Files. Which, when that book ended, I actually threw it across the room.
Oh my god.
And started screaming. Because I really get into books.
Yeah.
But yeah, like...
You need
the book.
Earth's End.
You must have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh my god.
I was on a bus and I think I screamed at my Kindle. It was like, no, next book now! Must read! Ah!
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I ended up finishing it. Had to have been like almost, I don't know, like 1:30. And I was at the con, right?
Yeah.
So I was at Calgary Expo reading these books. And it was so late. I'm just like, oh my god. I have to read the next one. So I got like maybe 2 hours of sleep at a con.
Yeah.
Where I'm dressing up in like these really stupid elaborate costumes because I love to torture myself.
Yeah.
Going on 2 hours of sleep. Emotionally drained because these books are just killer.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
They will play your emotions like a fiddle.
Yes. Make sure you have Earth's End before you get to the halfway point of Fire Falling.
Yeah. Just don't do that to yourself, man. It's not cool.
No, it's really not.
But Elise Kova, well done.
Oh my god.
Like,
you are an ace author.
Yeah, no argument.
Yes. Alright.
Cool.
So I think that's a wrap for Fire Falling.
Yep.
We will be talking about Earth's End next time.
This one.
Yes. So we will see you next time.
What did you rate it?
Oh, I agreed with you. 4.5, closer to 5.
Yeah.
Because, there's just so much character development, and I just loved everything about this book. Like, I know, like I said before, like, I would have assumed that this would have been really boring, or like one of the weaker titles, because it's just marching to the north. But it was so
brilliant.
Good. So good. It really blew me away. Because Val is strong and wind.
Yeah, I got it. I grinned.
But yes, so read Air Awakens and Fire Falling, and make sure you have Earth's End. Otherwise, you will regret it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes to all of that. Link, comment, and subscribe.
See you next time.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.